まさかゲンガーをでっかく行こうぜ。巨大マックス。
Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Journeys episode 109 versus Raihan, the battle for the Masters 8. This was the 1194th episode of the Pokemon anime and one of the best episodes of Pokemon Journeys so far, in my opinion. Not only did we get Ash's promotion match, but we also learned who the other competitors were in the Master Class. Let's not waste any more time and get straight into it. The episode starts without any of the usual intro packages, not even a World Coronation Series recap, as we see Ash and Lucario running towards Hammerlock on the morning of their battle. When they arrive at the stadium, Raihan meets them there. Raihan is his usual mix of cool and confident, but Ash isn't backing down either. Hold on, do not tell me that the World Monarch is asleep in a bush outside the stadium. Oh my god, Leon, you are unbelievable. Of course, Galar's champion didn't want to get lost and miss the battle, and he's excited to see Ash and Raihan face off. Ash is excited about this, while Raihan just observes how Ash is acting around Leon. Alright, enough foreplay, let's get into the battle. We see Go as the only one of Ash's friends there to support him, and we did not see anyone watching the battle on TV throughout this episode either. They introduced the competitors, with Ash getting a fairly standard entrance, while Raihan gets the hometown treatment from the fans and is also referred to as the Dragon Storm, which will become relevant in a minute. Leon is once again co-commentating one of Ash's stadium battles against a Galar gym leader, although to be honest, he doesn't really say much of note in this episode. Okay, now here is what I was really curious to find out: the rules for how Masterclass battles will work going forward. First off, battles are 3v3. I wonder if that'll be true for the entire Masters tournament or if the final will be 6v6. Then there are unlimited switches allowed, which is as expected. Lastly, the rule from the Ultra class carries over about how a trainer can only use one of Dynamax, Mega Evolution, or Z moves. I am so happy about that. Go is excited, and it's no surprise that Ash is planning on Mega Evolving his Lucario after what happened in the last episode. With all of that out of the way, it's time for this promotion match to finally begin. Ash chooses Dragonite to start, while Raihan goes with Flygon. We get a fairly straightforward start to the match, with Ash using Dragon Dance to deflect a Dragon Claw attack while also boosting Dragonite's stats. Flygon tries landing a Steel Wing attack, but Dragonite is able to dodge repeatedly thanks to the speed boost it got from Dragon Dance. Raihan is impressed with Ash's Dragonite, which is quite the compliment coming from a Dragon-type gym leader. Raihan isn't here to exchange pleasantries though, he's here to win, and he finally enacts his regular strategy involving the weather by launching a Sandstorm across the battlefield. Dragonite is a little rattled by this. The Sandstorm is so thick that it cannot see Flygon at all. This allows Raihan to get a series of attacks in, causing major damage to Dragonite. Ash and Dragonite aren't giving up though, and they decide to use Draco Meteor since it covers essentially the entire battlefield. Smart move, since you don't have to see Flygon in order to hit it this way. In fact, we don't even see Flygon get hit, but we hear it get hit by Draco Meteor, and then they immediately launch a Hurricane in that direction. This makes Flygon easily visible for a second, and Dragonite takes advantage by landing a Dragon Claw on it before Flygon recovers and disappears back into the Sandstorm. Ash calls for Draco Meteor once again, but Raihan isn't going to fall for the same trick twice, and his Flygon blindside Dragonite with a Steel Wing before it can launch another attack. And this knocks Dragonite out. Wow, after 109 episodes of Pokemon Journeys, Ash's Dragonite is undefeated no more. It fought well, but taking so many attacks from Raihan's Flygon was just too much for it. I wouldn't be surprised if some people are thinking, wait, that's all it took for Ash's Dragonite to get defeated? And yeah, it is. Several super effective attacks from one of the strongest Dragon-type users in the Pokemon world without any respite from getting swapped out at all. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good reasoning for Dragonite to take its first L. Ash sends Gengar out next, and at first it's able to use its weird ghost dodging abilities to avoid Flygon, but when it goes for an Ice Punch, Flygon just escapes into the Sandstorm and then lands a hit with Dragon Claw. Actually, Flygon lands a barrage of attacks, capped up with a super effective Crunch. Gengar goes down hard, and they really made a meal out of Gengar looking defeated at this point, but Gengar does stand back up, ready to keep on battling. Raihan is feeling himself at this point of the battle since he's totally in control. He starts chirping at Ash, saying that he wants to battle Leon so much, but he doesn't have the backbone to reach him. Ash claps back by admitting that he has wanted to battle Leon for so long, but for what I think is the first time ever in Journeys, Ash outright declares that he wants to defeat Leon, and that's why he's not not losing anytime soon. It's time for a twist, as we see Ash speaking to Lucario in its Pokeball that they'll have to Mega Evolve some other time. As Ash slips on his Dynamax band, oh, here we go. You better watch out now, Raihan. That's right, let's get huge. It's time for some Gigantamaxing, much to everyone's shock. And even though Gengar can technically only be Gigantamax long enough to use 3 moves, Ash makes full use of its other abilities, such as using its Caping Wide Mouth to suck up the Sandstorm. This leaves Flygon totally vulnerable, and Ash immediately calls for G-Max Terror. Major damage incoming, plus Flygon cannot escape anymore thanks to G-Max Terror's additional effect. Just when Raihan tells Flygon to counter with another crunch, it runs straight into a Max Starfall, and yeah, that one looks like it hurts big time. Flygon is unable to battle, and Ash has evened things up, with Gengar still Gigantamaxed. Raihan sends out Goodra next, and here we go. We call back to Raihan being introduced as the Dragon Storm, as Raihan transitions from using Sandstorm with Flygon to creating another storm by using Rain Dance. I can't exactly tell if the Misty Terrain is active from Gengar's Max Starfall, but that's kind of irrelevant anyways. Flygon lands ahead on Thunder, followed up by a Surf and Hydro Pump combo. Ash considers switching his Pokemon, but Gengar wants to stand its ground. Raihan keeps up the pressure with another Surf, and this is looking pretty bad for— wait, Gengar is ready to fight back, and oh my god, it just smacked Goodra away with its tongue. That's hilarious. Ash calls for another Max Starfall, and Raihan counters with Hydro Pump. Both attacks hit their mark, and after the smoke clears, both Pokemon are ruled unable to battle. I've said before that I'm not the biggest fan of double knockouts, and I guess this one makes sense, but still kind of a cliche way to set up the final 1v1. The last matchup of the battle is the very predictable Lucario vs Duraludon showdown, and the announcer reminds us that Raihan has the advantage of still having use of his Gigantamax up his sleeve, now that Ash cannot use Mega Evolution anymore. Ash is fired up, and this only makes Raihan more excited. He's so pumped up that he's actually just going to Gigantamax his Duraludon immediately, not wasting any time. Ash isn't fazed by this and calls for Double Team. This makes it pretty much impossible for Duraludon to hit Lucario, and Ash uses this opening to land an Aura Sphere that looked like it did basically nothing, if I'm being honest. Ash calls for another Aura Sphere, and Duraludon is basically able to brush it off, and now it uses Max Steel Spike, which Lucario is able to dodge at first, but eventually gets hit by one of the spikes. Lucario is winded, and Raihan doesn't let up, calling for Duraludon's strongest attack, G-Max Depletion. It immediately develops Lucario, and I guess activates the side effect of reducing Aura Sphere's PP by 2? Okay, that game mechanic probably does not matter at all right now. Things are not looking good for Lucario, but Ash is pretty calm, so calm that it's throwing Raihan off his game. It turns out that Ash is actually using Aura to communicate with Lucario right now, and that Lucario is building up an Aura Sphere inside the G-Max Depletion. We see some kind of Aura Bond phenomenon activation, and now the Aura Sphere is growing even stronger. Ash raises his arms, and Lucario holds the Aura Sphere over its head, causing the G-Max Depletion to dissipate. Raihan is rattled by this, and Go recognizes this as the same technique they trained in the last episode, but acknowledges that this Aura Sphere is even bigger. We get a scene of Lucario thinking about its fallen comrades, the training it's done with Ash's other Pokemon, Go's support, and it even sends us Greninja's acknowledgement. Ash is feeling it too. Clearly their Aura Bond is stronger than ever before in this moment, and calls for Kyodai Aura Sphere. And I'd just like to take a second to point out that even though the word Kyodai makes it seem like this is some kind of new exclusive G-Max move, I think it's just a clever play on words and just means something like gigantic or huge Aura Sphere. Okay, anyways, Lucario launches this massive Aura Sphere into Duraludon's Max Rockfall. Not sure why Raihan chose that move, and as you'd expect, the Aura Sphere breaks through the rock wall and nails Duraludon straight in the face. Not only does this knock the giant off its feet, but it also knocks it out, winning Ash the battle. Wow, Ash won, and now he's in the Master Class. Oh, speaking of which, and I was so hoping this would happen in this episode, it's time to reveal the entire Masters 8. In 8th place, it's Ash. In 7th place, Iris has made it up to the Master Class. Let's go. In 6th, oh wow, Alain is in the Master Class? Really? Why? In 5th, yeah, there's the Kalos and XY representative I was expecting. It's Diantha. In 4th, it's Lance, who's said to be the champion of both Kanto and Johto. In 3rd, Steven Stone is here, kind of out of nowhere. I'm surprised Wallace did not mention that he was in the Masters 8. In 2nd, who else but Cynthia? No shock that she's ranked that highly. And of course, in 1st, it's Leon, the reigning, defending, undefeated Monarch. I don't even know what to say, that reveal was amazing, and the episode goes off the air as we all look forward to Ash's next battles. Alright, I've taken a few deep breaths, and now that I've collected myself, let's discuss. First of all, the battle. Ash vs. Raihan was hyped up to be something special, and it more or less delivered. Obviously, everyone is going to have their own opinions, and I certainly see a lot of validity to a lot of different viewpoints on this battle. Me personally, I really enjoyed it. Shocking that I would say something positive about Pokémon Journeys, I know. This episode was pretty similar in pacing to Ash vs. Falkner in episode 77 of Journeys, and that includes the 3v3 format of both battles. I came into this episode expecting it to be some real heavyweight Pokémon throwing haymakers left and right, so I expected Pokémon to get knocked out a little easier than we might otherwise see. Raihan came in with his tactics, but this battle was less of a strategic standoff like Ash vs. Falkner was, and more of a full-on offensive assault by both trainers. Because of that, I'm not really bothered that Dragonite got its first loss in the way it did. It made total sense to me, and I thought Dragonite battled pretty well, especially considering we hardly see Ash training with it compared to his other Pokemon. Gengar, on the other hand, has had a lot more of a storyline throughout Pokemon Journeys. It started off a little bit of a glass cannon, it could hit hard and do some interesting moves, but its losses against Karina and Falkner made people want to see Gengar succeed. And that underdog story has more than paid off by now, first with Gengar's triumph against Marnie, but even more so in this battle. Gengar got 2 knockouts in this match, and Ash made the decision mid-battle to switch to using Gigantamax with Gengar. That's how key Gengar was to this match. My MVP. Raihan's strategy was pretty predictable if you have played the games. I pretty much knew exactly what was coming with his weather-based tactics. I also totally saw this battle coming down to Lucario versus Duraludon. I mean, even before I saw the spoiler in the preview for this battle that these two were going to be the last Pokemon standing, it was kind of obvious that it was going to come down to this. Ash having to win without Mega Evolution was a challenge I was not expecting, but this episode proved just how powerful Ash and Lucario's Aura Bond is. I think I'm just going to call it Aura Bond until it gets an official name, like it's basically the Bond phenomenon, but it's based on their aura connection. Anyways, the scene of Lucario growing stronger by remembering all that it's been through with Ash was amazing, although I guess it's a little underwhelming that it seemingly knocked out Duraludon fairly easily. I mean, it was a super effective, gigantic Aura Sphere, and it wasn't the first hit that Lucario landed either, so it wasn't all bad to me. I also did not love the double knockout we got earlier, but I did already mention that. The twist of Ash switching to Gigantamax mid-battle was amazing. I just wish they didn't give it away that Ash was likely going to use Gigantamax in the preview for this battle. Oh well. All things considered, this was a great battle. If I had to rank it amongst all of the battles we have seen so far in Journeys, I'll put it in second place right behind Ash vs. Falkner. That leads me into my rating. I gave the Ash vs. Falkner episode a 9.5 out of 10, and I'm going to put episode 109 just lower than that and give it a 9 out of 10 rating. The 2 other things I wanted to mention about this episode were, 1, how funny was Leon sleeping in the bush? That was fantastic. Oh yeah, and the whole masterclass reveal. I guess I should touch on how cool that was. Of course, you can expect plenty of discussion videos in the near future breaking down what's to come in the Masters Tournament, as they are calling it. I even have some collabs with other YouTubers lined up, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on some excellent discussion about the Masterclass from not just me, but a lot of other perspectives as well. I am loving how all 7 regional champions are in the Masters 8, although I don't know if Ash is recognized as Alola's champion or just the Alola League champion. Alain was identified as the winner of the Lumiose Conference, and like I said before, kinda surprised they chose Alain of all people to be in the Masterclass. I don't know, I know a lot of people are fired up to see him here, he just wouldn't have been my first choice, that's all. Even though I could talk about the Masterclass for the next 2 hours or more, let's move on to the preview for the next episode. It looks like Go's next trial mission for Project Mew is going to be taking place at Sea Mauville, that abandoned, you might even say forsaken ship in between Dewford and Slateport. It looks like Go is going to have to battle as hard as he can in some kind of battle royal type event against the other potential chasers. The main part of this episode is going to be centered around Go and Horus, and I'm guessing one of them is going to have to betray the other at some point unless they decide to go full Katniss and Peeta together. That's all I've got to say after this crazy episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.